It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Friday, March 22nd, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Until the End with Daniel Baker, the Wednesday Message Word Study, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. Whew. All right, everyone, how are you doing? Yes, it is Friday. I am so happy and thankful. Hope you guys really enjoyed your week. Don't forget, every Thursday, we do have Q&A Thursday, so get those questions ready. Send them to me whenever you can. You can DM me, PM me. You can put in the comments, whatever. You can email me also. I am open to any form of communication, except for like the Pony Express and like snail mail, right? If you haven't yet, for today's video, leave a like and comment to build our community. Just very happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. Now, this week's Sunday message title is, I Will Resolve It, the work that God must do and the work that human beings must do. And of course, today we do have the Wednesday message word study, new title, even a new title and kind of a sequel to the Sunday message. So I'm looking forward to that second segment for the Wednesday message word study. It's Friday. I am so happy. I am very grateful. I am thankful for the weekend ahead. And, lots of things to do for the next coming weeks. I realize, actually, you know what? I realize why my week is going so fast, or why I'm so excited, even more excited for the weekend. And it's because I started the Rebel Pastor, and now it's so busy. Like just recording and editing, making shorts, doing this and that. And it's gotten me so busy. This busyness just makes the two things. Busyness makes the time go by really fast, and also busyness makes me look forward to the weekend even more, even though it's not really a weekend for me anyways. But for me, it's still Thursday, and after I record this podcast, it's basically the official weekend for me. I get Fridays and Saturdays off, and last week I didn't get Friday off because it was March 15th, and I recorded like three videos for my YouTube channel, but definitely for this one, I am grateful and thankful. Very much looking forward to this weekend too. It's kind of like my first week after really, sitting down, putting my head down and really putting some work into this YouTube channel too. Right now, I am learning a new app on my phone to edit shorts. It's called like CapCut. And you guys would see it from yesterday's short that I made for YouTube. It's very different. But, it's just, it's a brand new program. Someone suggested it for me. Like my editor suggested it for me. And it's not hard. It's just that whenever you're starting anything new, there's always a learning curve. You know what I mean? So the learning curve for anything starts off really slow and then it gets easier and easier, right? And, just start looking at my shorts from today and yesterday, right? They're much different than last week's, and they're better. It's so simple, but man, just because of the learning curve, just sitting down and learning each and every function there is, that's the part that is, that's a little bit difficult, right? So it's always difficult in the beginning, and then it just gets easier and easier, and then eventually it just becomes second nature. So it is something that I do think that we have to really get our hearts and our minds to be thinking about more clearly, more deeply about too. If I think about it, like going through this learning curve to learn something new, like I thought to myself is what would make anyone go through this type of this learning, like this suffering where you're like, oh, how do I do this? Oh, it's like, it took me forever to make those shorts because I'm just learning what the buttons are. And I thought to myself is like, what would make someone go through something like this? And I thought to myself is what would make me, what is making me wanting to go to learn this, this new program and stuff like that too. And what's my motivation, right? And it's basically for internet ministry, for God, for this history, to really get this going, right? And of course I have personal I have personal motivation too, because I'm like, yeah, God, I know that if I do this for your history, it's going to be great. It's going to be something that pushes the words out in through the internet. It's going to allow God's history to move a lot quicker and naturally throughout the world. But of course, I have my personal ones. Is like, I hope that if I put all this effort and work into this, I can make a decent living out of this. You know what I mean? So if I didn't have that type of motivation, I wouldn't even go through it. Like, I wouldn't even get into it. So, there's, and put it this way, like on Wednesday, I went to service. And I was so inspired because right before service, there's a member that wanted to talk to me because they had a dream about me, right? And the dream, they said that they received a strong inspiration. They're trying to figure out if it's real inspiration or not. But the dream was about my YouTube channel, The Rebel Pastor. And the inspiration was like God spoke to them and said, basically God was saying, God said he prepared this for you to use, right? So it was like totally about evangelism. And I was like, wow, this is something, it was something that I was like, God has prepared this, not even me. This is what God has prepared. So I was inspired to hear that God said this, that he prepared this, right? And it encouraged me to like work even harder, gave me even more motivation. And it shows me that this can be successful. Now, when I say can meaning it depends on my responsibility. Like what I always understood whenever God said it's going to work, it's going to work depending on man's responsibility, right? There's no guarantee of success unless I put in the 100% effort and energy to make it happen. And I don't think that anything will work out without the taking of action that is needed. So even if God has prepared this channel to be successful, it's not going to be successful without me doing what I need to do, like learning new apps, making new shorts, doing this and that. And and as funny as this sounds, I don't even know what to do with this channel. Like, I don't even know what is successful yet. I'm just doing and moving and changing and tweaking and moving forward to see what works, what doesn't work. And I know that eventually God will lead the way to, lead the way so that the best thing will come about it. Right? This is, there's going to be a point, there's going to be that moment where the channel's really going to pop. There will be that moment, right? And when that moment comes, it's not going to be me like, oh, I knew exactly what to do. I have to go through it, right? As we put effort in, we see what works, we see what doesn't work, and we change the things and we move things around until we find the best way to do it, right? So, like, it's weird. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. All I know is I've got to do it, and as I'm doing it, I'm learning and changing and moving, right? So, I do think a lot about the direction, though. I do, right? Like, thinking about how direct I should be. Like, direct evangelism, remember we did the education a few weeks back. There's two ways of direct evangelism. One is like full out, I am Providence, I am CGM, right? I am part of this church, and these are the words we preach. And there is also the direct evangelism where you don't have to say it, where you're just sharing the words, and both are acceptable. Think about it. There's even indirect evangelism where all you're trying to do is gain a following. And when you gain a following, what happens? You gain a following, you help them through the words. And if they follow them, they believe in those words, and they get happier because of it, they somewhat become like a cultural member, which is still better than nothing, right? So this is something I definitely want to talk as a topic of discussion. I have to do this with Sunsteam too, about the channel, what to do in the future. And, yeah, it's interesting. Actually, you know what I find very interesting too is, remember I told you that I want to make a living off this? It's very interesting because when I talk to some of my friends, both in Providence and both that used to run full-time and don't run full-time anymore. The one thing I notice very interesting of people who run full-time Providence is our thoughts of what we think is a lot or enough to live off of is very different. It's very different. So the people who run full-time Providence, and they've been running for a long time, the one thing I found that was very interesting is like, including myself, we don't have that, what's that word? We don't have that super high expectation of how much money we need to make. Like, we don't need as much because we haven't been living with much, right? Because, there's a huge difference of someone who's been making like, say, 10,000 USD a month compared to someone who makes 2,000, right? And when I ask people how much they need to live, it's the people that didn't run that much, like people that don't do full-time want more. And the people that did run full-time want less, right? And like for me, I was thinking like when I hear people's numbers, I'm like going, wow, that's a lot of money. Because in my head, I'm like, I don't think I'd be okay with half of that kind of thing, right? Like let me give an example. Even for me, I've never made like $2,000 a month in Providence, right? I've never made that much. Like when I was a head leader, the most I ever made, I believe, was I started off head leading for the first 2 years, making $1,200 a month. Like that is nothing. And then it moved to $1,500, and even that was a struggle just to get that raise, right? So imagine this. If someone said that they're going to give me $3,000 a month, which is only like 36,000 US dollars a year, like living in America, which is way below the average income in America, I would actually be happy. I'd be like, wow, you're going to give me that much? That's so much. Oh my goodness. I can do so much with that money. It's because I've been living off so much less than that, right? And I think especially when it comes to living, like running full time, yeah, it's one of the things that we are able to be living. We are content with little. Like if you could, like, think about it. Imagine you could be happy and content on a little, then you wouldn't need much, right? And guys, I'm totally not saying that you shouldn't want much or you shouldn't want to be rich or that's a bad thing. Totally not. I'm just talking from the perspective of someone like me who's a full-time, who ran full-time for Providence. I just realized like, wow, I don't really ask for much. Like, you know, when I talk about like money, and I'm talking about it on like, when I talk about it on this podcast and stuff, like, I think it's like what you guys are thinking, what I'm thinking, I think is like after talking with my friends about this, I realized that what we're both talking about when we say a reasonable wage is so different. Like, if it was like if I were to like compare it, like, yeah, if I was in the U.S., put it this way, there's very few pastors that make $3,000 US a month. Why? Because they all make more. They all make more. So even for me, I'm just like, oh, that's so interesting. Like when I say that, oh, you know, we should get paid a little bit more as a head leader, in my head, what is enough is probably way different than everyone out in the working world, right? Because everyone out in the working world, and people who are married, they have to feed their family, they have mortgages, they have car payments, they have insurance, schooling for the kids, educate. Like there's so many things that have to be paid for that in order for them to be comfortable or have enough. It's so different that when someone from the out, like someone who's a family member or someone who's a career member, if you were to settle for the salary of a head leader, none of you would do it. You'd be like, no way, that's way too little, right? So I think even when I'm saying that head leaders should get paid more money, it's so interesting because I think we would be very, very satisfied even with not a lot, right? Like even in Malaysia, I was looking at the median wage in 2023. Just the median wage in Malaysia was something like 2,600 something, 2,600, 2,700 ringgit a month, which is very, very little, right? But I'm sure head leaders are getting somewhere along that line, which I think is great, right? But if you look at like, imagine giving a head leader receiving 3,000 or 3,500 a month. I think they would be like, oh my gosh, that is so amazing. I'd be, wow. You know, like that would be something that I think that they would all be freaking out about. Like, that is crazy. That I can't believe that you are going to be giving me that much. But reality is, no one in the working world would be satisfied with like a 3,000 ringgit or a 3,500 ringgit salary. Just no one would be. Right? You just wouldn't be satisfied with it, right? And even for me, I was just like, yeah, that's so true. That's so true that most people in the working world wouldn't be satisfied with that, right? And I would say that like that's just one of the big differences of, when you're running full time, like money is not really one of these what do you call it? It's not one of those huge things where actually like full-time people are not actually asking for we're not really asking for like a corporate salary, right? No, like none. I think no. I believe that no one who's a head leader is actually asking for that amount. Like I said, if even 3,000 US a month, which is like way like below the median salary, I would freak out. Like what? I would give up so much just for that, and it's quite interesting. It really is. So when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, this makes a little bit more sense, kind of thing, right? So I thought to myself like, yeah, it's so different. The perception, the perspective that comes from each and every person, it's so different. And like if you think about it, look at even Sunstein, right? When I see Sunstein, he doesn't ask or want much, right? He just wants the things that make it easier. Like he wants the things that make it more convenient or easier for him to do his mission, right? And, like he has people that cook for him or do this or that for him, right? He has a place to stay, everything else like this. And it makes it so much easier for him to go and just preach. It makes it easier for him to just kind of do the things he needs to do and go out. And of course, I would say like, for instance, he's been doing it for so long and he sacrificed the most that is like, yeah, like even after how many years, like 45, 46 years of running this history, he should have a place to live. He should have a car. He should have like good food and stuff like that too, because I don't know how many other people who've been living and running that long either. Well, no one has for this history except him. He's done it the most, and he's done the most amount of work, right? But it's interesting because he doesn't want or ask for much. He just wants the things that make it easier to run for this history. He's more concerned about us than getting more for himself, even though he could have more. Like whenever you see him receiving gifts, he gives stuff away, which I think is like, wow, that's amazing, right? So like in my perspective, it's interesting to see what is enough and what is enough from person to person in which social class, which social level, which financial level and stuff like that too. And it's really, really based on your experience and what you've gone through in your life. And I'm just like, wow, it's so different. It really is. And it makes me thankful that like even for myself, like if my YouTube channel made that much money for me, I would be freaking out. Like you'd be like, what? I'm making 3,000 a month. Oh my gosh. Like I would freak out. I really would. I'd be like, that is crazy. I'm making bank. Like I would be thinking to that level. I really would be. Right. But it's just like, I think that's what makes it a lot easier for God to work with me, because I'm actually I don't really have that huge expectation. I just don't, but I hope it's something that, in the future, I hope, like I really, really hope that this channel in the future, both channels, MSD and the Rebel Pastor, we'll be able to make enough revenue to support multiple people to run like, like even though they're working a full-time job like on this channel, but they'll be making money running for Providence kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because they'll be, we'll be doing things for spreading the word, making channels here and there. Like that's something that I look and say, yeah, that would be something that would be awesome. Right? So that is something that I'm really, really thinking about a lot more. Like, hey, in the future, if we don't need much, that means that when it starts to make more money, we could start hiring more people to make more channels and to do more things, right? And I think that's something that's going to be very big for the future. Later, be able to get a place, right? So that you'll have like inside that place, we'll have a studio so we could do everything that we want in that place too. So it's something where I looked at, I was like, yeah, we really don't need much. We really don't. I would definitely freak out with 3,000 a month. I feel like, what? And like I said, if you guys are from America right now, you guys would probably think to yourself as like, dude, that's totally not enough, right? Like, if you're from America or Canada, go ahead, write in the comment room about getting $3,000 a month. It's not enough, right? Like, I'm pretty sure you guys would be like, yeah, I totally, there's no way that I would be like so happy making $3,000 a month. Yeah, like, so I would say that would be the equivalent, like even Malaysia making about 3,500 ringgit a month. It'd be equivalent to that, like the buying power and stuff like that too. But interesting. It's very, very interesting just to see the differences. Like, I started thinking about this and talking to people because there is a difference between the way I think and a Malaysian thinks, because I come from Canada and I come from America. I lived in America and Europe and so many different places. I think that's quite interesting. And then, like, remember I was telling you, like, all the cultural differences I'm hearing, like, what? They're giving money to their families every single month? Like, that's something, for me, I'm just like, whoa, that's something so off for me. I'm just like, wow, it's such a different perspective of what it means to honor thy father and thy mother. And I thought to myself, it's like, yeah, man, there are a ton of things that are very different from person to person. Oh, also, remember I asked you guys this week, did we have an Easter event last year, or are we going to have one this year? And it looks like we are, because I just saw the announcement that there's an Easter service coming up on Sunday. But last year, like Jing from Malaysia, she's like, oh yeah, there was an Easter service last year. I was like, oh really? Like, I couldn't even remember. But yet they said there was an Easter service or celebration last year. I totally don't remember it at all. But of course, I think most of us, we were more concerned with the spiritual Oppenheimer. So I'm sure that many of us don't remember. Like, we might remember there was one, but I don't know if we remember how good it was, like, or what we actually did. I think at that point, that must have been like end of March, beginning of April. I think our minds and our hearts were still like blinded by the explosion. Right? And we were like so discombobulated during the aftermath that even listening to the word was a little bit difficult too, right? But I'm glad someone remembered. I forgot to ask the person whether the Easter celebration was good or not, but I don't think they would remember either. Like, I don't think I would remember either too, right? So yeah, we do have an Easter service next Sunday, so I think that's going to be quite awesome. I can't wait. I think I'm going to be, like I said, some of my friends from the former faith over here, they invited me, so I think I'm going to have 2 Easter services, so that should be quite fun too. Yeah, either way. So yeah, let's move forward in this podcast, because next we do have the Wednesday message word study. But before we get into that, let's get into the first music break of the day.
2023. We've all come a long way. Many different stories, but we're all on the same journey. Many, many ups and downs, but we're all still around. Many, many, many lessons, but each one came with a blessing. Let's not forget for when we come from when we make this confession. Some people just want to watch the world burn. As for you and I, let's set ourselves on fire, shine a light so bright that will make the people say, burning life, burning life. Look at the flames in my eyes, watch it burn, but don't stare too long, you might lose your sight. Some people gunning for a downfall, but they'll never see our demise. Burning life, burning life. Who's the one? I'm the one, he's the one. Are you the one? No, we're the ones who keep the fire going till the day we die, till they see the light, make it bright, till we hear the people say, born sinner, never could be ill. I know I'm back from the dead, yeah, the Lord is my healer. I took the red pill, that's why I call him teacher. When you learn about the spirit, or there ain't nothing realer. The one you learn from determines your entire destiny. Learn from the one who taught about eternity. Cloud craving, paper chasing, the joy is only temporary. I don't wanna do the same thing, so I had to count the vanity. I keep my eyes on the prize. I'll never sell my soul to the devil in disguise. With both hands on each side, I'm holding on to dear life. I keep my guard up, never back down. When it goes down, I call on the Christ. Spiritual battle, answer the call. It's Call of Duty, modern warfare, put the armor of God. They're fighting Lucy with a rock. I got atomic bombs, love the Lord your God, and all your brothers want your demons fall. Don't be deceived, know who the ops is. Keep the unity and peace, go far way across this. Came to preach the word of God like I'm born in Tarsus. Here to testify the things I've seen on road to Damascus. He's the real deal, the real thing, be glad you heard the King's speech. Blessed are those who reach the end and get to hear the Lord speak. GODs, POC, we fulfilled everything. Burning life, kerosene, burning life, legacy.
You will never see me stop in the future. The life that fulfills God's will continue. Everyone thinks I'm unfortunate because I go through suffering. But inside of me it's different. Because I walk the path of eternal life.
Burning life, Look at the flames in my eyes, watch it burn, but don't stare too long, you might lose your sight. Some people gunning for a downfall, but they'll never see our demise. Burning life, who's the one? I'm the one, he's the one. Are you the one? No, we're the ones who keep the fire going till the day we die, till they see the light, make it bright, till we hear the people say,
like Mary poured out her perfume on Jesus' feet, I must pour out my heart, mind, and love on the one who saved me.
All right, so let's get into today's word study. And every Friday we do have the Wednesday message word study. And this week, once again, a different title. And we've been seeing this for the last couple of weeks. The Sunday message title and the Wednesday message title are a little bit different. But this week, they're very, very similar. All right, so the Wednesday message title is God has done all the work that he must do. God helps through the one he sent. Right, and of course we have two completely different verses too, from Job chapter 36 and John chapter 6 too. Right, so what Sunsim says that this is a sequel to the Sunday message, and I think it's very, very clear on exactly what God is saying, and it's especially focusing and pinpointing about God working and helping us through the one he sent. Right, so like this is like a perfect point. Regardless of whatever time period you're in, no one really dislikes or hates God, right? Everyone loves God. Everyone's like, oh, God is great. God is good. How can I ever hate God? The problem that most people have is usually the ones that are sent, right? And the biggest problem with that is God is working through that person. And that is why if you go against that person, you're going against God, right? If you look at the Old Testament time, the perfect example is like, the Jews didn't go against God. They loved God. They loved God's rules and his laws, but they didn't like Jesus, the one that was sent. And this is why God judged them. Not because they didn't like him, it's because they didn't like or they didn't accept the one that he sent. Right? So, this starts off with a very interesting prayer that Sunsim gave. And you gotta kind of get down to the shimjung of it. Because even when Sunsim says it, like, remember he's saying to God, like, God, if you help them, these people were so weak. If you just help them just a little bit, there's no way they could have left. If you would have helped them, they would not have disbelieved or left, right? It's because you left them alone, right? And when you hear this type of prayer, it's like even we can kind of see the answer to how God's going to respond. We kind of get that answer. Right? We get the general answer, like God's going to say that, oh, I did help. Especially knowing this week's message is like, well, they didn't help themselves kind of thing, right? But I think what's more important of looking at Sunsim say these types of things to God, right? Like, he's basically saying to God is like, oh, it's almost like saying, God, it's your fault. Like you knew they'd leave. But if you just held on to them with your almighty and great power, right, then how could they leave? Right? They could overcome everything. Right? They could overcome tribulations and Satan. They wouldn't leave. They wouldn't even, you didn't help. And they were just too weak at that time that they couldn't overcome, and they ended up leaving. Right? And my first thing that I think we should think about is like, well, it sounds like, sounds like a very, very simple answer. And of course, the answer wasn't that simple, and I thought it was really deep. But we get a general answer where God's going to say, of course I helped them. They didn't help themselves, right? But I do think when you hear Sunsim giving this type of prayer, you kind of really get an insight of his shimjung. Right? You get an insight, wow, this is what Sunsim's going through internally. All this chaos, people that he loves so much, the closest to him are leaving, and this is happening, people deciding not to stay in Providence, and this and that, and all these people, that's it's really shocking Sunsim. Sunsim is so shocked by what is happening, right? And because he's so shocked, You can just feel the depth of his shimjung, that he's even coming towards God and saying, God, why is it like, if you just would have done something, it wouldn't have happened. And you see that he's so broken by all these people that he loves. And seeing people, like he knows their destiny now. Like when you read the rest of the message, we know what the destiny of these people are, the ones that leave. And I think it's something that sometimes we just look at the question and we're like, oh, okay, here's the answer. But a lot of times we don't realize that there's such a depth of shimjung inside these questions that Sunsim gives, because it means that it's something he's been thinking about so deeply and so much, to the point that he's now saying, God, if you didn't do this, they wouldn't have left. Like it's hurting him that much. That's the depth of his shimjung right now. And I do think it's something that we really, really have to think about is, wow, it's really pained him that much that he's actually praying to God like this. You know what I mean? So even for me, I was just like, wow, like that's really, really, it shows how hard it was on Sunsim. It really was that hard, right? And of course, we know, like understanding his shimjung more deeply, and then God responds in a very, with manners. Like he's not saying like, come on, you know that I helped. Come on, you know the answer to this. But it's more of like, it's a very like shimjung-filled conversation between God and Sunsim. And, God is responding. He's like, hey, this is not true, right? Those that leave Providence, they left on their own. Right? And the reason why they couldn't be helped and the reason why they couldn't stay is because the very method in which God helps people is through the one sent. But what happened to these people? Because they disbelieve in the one that is sent, how the heck does God help them if the very medium that he uses to help people is gone? Which means they stopped believing. They betrayed. They left on their own. How can God help them when they have, these people don't believe in the one that is sent anymore? So now they have no strength to overcome the tribulations, no strength to overcome Satan and temptations. Why? Because God is like, guys, got to think about this. If you disbelieve and betray the one that is sent, he's the one that I'm helping you through. That's where your help is coming from. The moment you reject him, you're actually rejecting all help. God can't help you anymore. Right? Think about it. Every year, what's going to happen? Every time period, God is sending a person to do what? To pray for you. To do what? To give you the word. To save you. To show you an example. God, the Holy Spirit, Jesus are all working through the person that is sent. But the moment you disbelieve, how do you even believe his words? You can't even be helped by the words God is trying to give through that person. All the help is coming through the one sent, all the major help. Of course, we have inspirations. Of course, we have these things that are a lot harder for us to kind of, like all of a sudden we feel this, wow, I feel so spiritually strong and this and all, God has really helped me spiritually. Yes, that does happen, but that's not easy. The easiest way God helps is through the man who is sent. And what does he do? Delivers the word, gives us personal letters. Like right now, I'm like hearing like all these educations that are coming out, and Sunsim is like giving education to the arts department, giving education for internet, giving education for this, giving direction for this, while he's in his situation, while he's in trial, yet he's writing all this education for everyone. He is helping everyone, even for specific departments. And I'm just like, what? That's so crazy. God is helping him. God is helping us. God helps through the one sent. The moment you reject the one that is sent, you don't have any help left. That's how hard it is. Right? Basically, God is saying we helped to the point we couldn't help anymore. We did everything that we had to do, even to the point of being excessive in our help. Just like we saw in the, remember we saw in the Providence News on the Wednesday, after Wednesday, there's Providence News, Wednesday service, Providence News. They're like, America, they're like, God, 11-page, it was ridiculous. It really was. The amount God was helping, going through the tours, and you see all the people like from Korea going to Taiwan, finding out about all those places that they visited here. It's really incredible. That's why the moment you stop believing in the 1 cent, is the moment you don't have any more help. And that's why, think about this. The question came yesterday on absolute faith, the absolute condition. Personally, I think the absolute condition of just believing and having absolute faith in this history, that's the easiest part. The harder part is like daily life. And we're going to go through daily life problems all the time anyways. But having that faith of, this is a history of God. I have no doubt it's a history of God. I have no doubt to the point, even when last year happened, one of my closest friends or one of the people that I was close to, not my closest, but one of the people I was close to was KJS. And even seeing her going against us, I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. Like, I don't think, you're not better than him. There's no way. And the only reason you have authority and power is because of him. So, yeah, no. Right? Like, for me, leaving is not an option. It's just not an option. I would rather do everything inside of Providence, even if it's like something that may not be that great, right? Or something that might be kind of against what God really, really wants. But as long as it's inside Providence, that's like the one thing I can't go outside of this fence because I know that there's nothing for me outside of it. You know what I mean? Like the moment we start having doubts, the moment we think that we can leave is the moment the power of the one that God sent becomes weaker. And the moment that power gets weaker is the moment that God can't really help you that much. That's just reality. How does God help us that much if the very person, the conduit that he's working through is not believed in? Like, I think it's impossible. I really do. I think by that point, it's going to be, you have a very, very high chance of struggling even more, going down even a deeper tunnel because of the one that is sent. It was such a deep message. Like, I wasn't expecting this deep. I was just expecting God to say, the son seems like, hey, how come if you would have helped, they wouldn't have left. The son, I was thinking about this week's message of, I have helped and people have their own responsibility. So I help as much as I can. But if they don't do their responsibility, then I can't do anything. Like, I thought that was going to be the answer. I didn't think it was going to be, they rejected the one that was sent. They had doubts, right? They couldn't believe absolutely. And because of that, how can I help them when I'm helping through the one that is sent? If you can't believe him and you disbelieve and you have any doubts and this and that, this is where you're actually starting to lose help, right? God is taking action. God is working through the one that is sent. Like, we're talking like the vast majority of the help is coming through there, because where does the words come from? Wow, these words are from God, right? We know it's from God. It's coming from the one that is sent, and boom, we're like, yes, we are feeling helped even more, right? Yes, some things that God and the Holy Spirit do that are outside of what the man sent does. Of course, there are those things, but most of the things are done through his body. Because it's the world of the body, there's so many things that we can't see happening spiritually, right? And I think it's absolutely true. And I thought this was a great example where the message was like, do you think angels just left heaven on their own? No, they were kicked out. And in the same way, you think people are leaving on their own? They're not leaving on their own. God kicks them out, right? God has helped them. God has done everything they could, but the moment they can't overcome they fail to do the responsibilities they can't overcome, this is when people die, right? And I would say that the best example that was given in the message is to disbelieve and betray the one that is sent is the same as the head being disconnected from the body. Once the head's disconnected, guess what? The body's limp. It's dead. In death. Right? The question is not so much is, oh, why didn't God or the Holy Spirit really hold on to these people? Actually, the bigger thing that must be thought about is, no, they actually let go. Why did they let go, right? It wasn't why didn't God hold on? The bigger question is why did they let go? That's the thing I think that that's the bigger question we should ask. God, why didn't you hold on to them? And God's like, yeah, I've been holding on. The bigger question is why did they let go? That's the question we need to ask them. In the end, when you think about it, the one who is sent, the one that God helps through, the one that God works through, he is literally life. In this sense, what we're talking today is the moment you lose him, you lose life. Your spiritual life is gone. You can't go back to the old former faith. People think they can, right? People think they can, but even if we were to ask a Christian, right, and say, hey, if you were a Jew and then you start to believe in Jesus, you have conviction and you believe that Jesus is the Messiah, and then you reject him as the Messiah and say, you know what, I'm just going to go back to Judaism. Do you think that's going to work? What do you think a regular, like a Christian would say? They'd be like going, yeah, you could do that. Oh, that's no problem. No, they wouldn't. They'd be like, no, you've just lost your salvation. Do you have any idea where your spirit is going? Yeah, it would be that severe. The moment you disbelieve, it's over because all the help comes from there. Once people leave, there is no hope until they repent and come back. And that's when salvation happens again. They can't go back to the former faith. They can't go back to the old. Right? I remember examples Sussie gave in the past is imagine you're married and then the wife says to you, oh, you know what? I found someone better. And then it doesn't work out and they come back and say, hey, I'm back. It didn't work out, so I'm coming back. Would you take them back? Right? So, the one that is sent, the most important person. Believing in the one sent that's why it makes so much more sense now when you hear the Bible saying, believe and you will be saved. Yeah, it's the belief that's number one. Like that's the thing you cannot get rid of. And I think that's my benefit of coming from the former faith is, well, you set that in stone, it's done. I will never let go of Jesus. Never, ever let go. I don't care what people say. He's my savior, right? And then when it comes to providence, I'm like, woo, there's the one that is sent. I never let go. I don't care what anyone else says. You can say whatever you want. You can accuse whatever you want. You can do all these things. I won't let go. That's ridiculous. There's no way I would go in, like outside of this, right? You are being helped in so many different ways through who? Through the body. Right? Through the one that is sent. We're getting the words every day. We're getting a Sunday message, a separate Wednesday message, separate department messages, separate personal letters. We're getting so many things. There's not a single thing God has not done. It's been left undone. And the way the message said it, like Sunsteam is actually saying, yeah, guess what? If you say that God has not done something, you're speaking in a very self-centered way. Like you are the center of the universe. Oh, God hasn't done it, so I can blame God. It's a very victim mentality. But the crazier part, the message said was, even though people think like this, God still helps them. Like that's crazy. So, it was a very, very poignant, powerful message because it eventually came in talking about the people that left. The moment they disbelieve and leave, the one that God sent is the moment you have no power, you have no help. And God's not going to work through them. Yeah, people in the past try to do it thinking that they can make something else happen themselves, but it never works out. All the people in the past, they're all gone. The moment you disbelieve in the one God sent is the moment both your body and spirit have lost salvation. Right? Both. Body and spirit. And when you look at the people who have left, when you kind of look, to see what what their life was like until the point they left, you'll see that, a lot of times the people that have left, they were unable to live a life of faith properly. And when I say life of faith properly, we can't just look at and say, well, how can you say that they didn't live a life of faith properly when they went to every pre-dawn, they went to every meeting, they went to every service? That's just what you see. Like, that's just what your body does. But what does it mean to live a life of faith, an internal thing between you and God, living that properly? What's inside your heart? How much do you love God? The things that you worry or doubt, or the things that are in your heart and your mind that are taking you away. And I thought that the perfect example that was in the message, I never thought about this, was using King Saul as an example. Right? He did everything, he did everything the right way. It's just done. He just did it in a foolish way. He didn't wait for Samuel, but it was still a sacrifice. He still sacrificed to God. He still believed in God. But he did it in the wrong way, where it should have been done through the one that God has sent. But if you don't do it through the one God has sent, what's going to happen? Look at King Saul. He was foolish and he lost his position, right? He eventually killed himself, right? The moment you leave is the moment you are a body without a head. There's only, I like that video is like, there's only one, like that first sentence was, there's only one will. Only one. And since there's only one will, it must be done through the one person that is sent. Now is a time, guys. That part of that video that struck me was, if someone doesn't do what they're supposed to do at a given time, what they were supposed to do will never get done. It's over. It's time to move on to the next thing. God goes on acting on the next thing for those who have done it. We can't lose this opportunity now. What we're doing right now, right? So, yeah, it was a very, very powerful Wednesday message. I hope you guys received a lot from it too. But yeah, just that one, the depth of that one thing. The moment you disbelieve, you've lost your help, because God helps through the one that is sent. To disbelieve and betray that person is to reject God's help. So in essence, it's not that God didn't help. It's more of God's help was rejected, which is the one that was sent. So I hope it's something that we really, really understand. And we know that it's something that's just happening right now. It's all happened last year. And I hope that all of us can really have that mentality and mindset to have that absolute faith towards the one that is sent. Right? To have that absolute condition. Like I said, doesn't mean we live the perfect life of faith. Doesn't mean we live that perfect life doing everything perfectly. No. But we have that baseline, that absolute condition. All right? So there it is, guys. That is today's Wednesday Message Word Study. Hope it's something that you really enjoyed, and it's something that you guys will be able to look more deeply into when you kind of look in retrospect of your life and reflect on your life right now too. All right? So before we get into Until the End with Daniel Baker, let's move into the second music break of the day.
I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. We stay looking for someone to hold when the right one's standing at your door. Open up your heart and say, I believe in what you say, and I promise you will gain much more. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. 10 years of struggle, 10 years of pain, but I'll finally get to see you no more. Just calling your name, ones who wonder who. Just open up your eyes. He's waiting for you too. He's not a man in disguise. And the hardest cross to bear, but your heart's not what I wear. To think this effort and this love could overcome the dirty stairs. And it's all because of you. Yeah, it's all because of you. Said it's all because of you. Yeah, I need you. Looking for someone to hold when the right one's standing at your door. Open up your heart and say, I believe in what you say, and I promise you will gain much more. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. Yes, you right now. Yes, you right now that I need. Yeah, we're looking for the lost ones. I was a lost one. I found the right one. I found the right one. Yes, you right now. Yes, you right now that I need.
Okay, so now we are at the last segment of the day and for the entire week. And of course, we always look forward to this. Daniel Baker, just, 20 years old? He's over there in Korea. He's just having a great time learning how to caddy. He'll be here in Malaysia sooner or later. But very, very grateful and thankful for this programming that he's doing. Please welcome him all the way from Korea. This is Daniel Baker with Until the End.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Do It Until the End podcast. I hope everyone is having an amazing week with the Trinity. Let's have an amazing end to the week together. I hope everyone is having an amazing post 316 experience. At least for me, I feel spiritually energized. And of course, if your spirit is energized, your body, your spirit, your mind also feels very energized. So that's what I'm going through right now. In my personal life, I really felt that after 316, there was such massive change within like even my job, right? Because I was just originally doing the training for the caddy for like a month, but I felt like that I wasn't going to be able to do the real caddying and make some money, of course, at least for a couple more weeks, because it felt like I wasn't going to get the opportunity. But on the day of 316, that night, I got the text that I'm going to be literally fast tracked, and the next day on Sunday was the day that I met my first customers, right? So, even though 316 was a massive spiritual blessing, I really see from myself and, from my brother got into an amazing university with a massive scholarship on 316. Through those two pretty interesting advances in our lives, I really felt that 316 was God was giving me a gift, and of course my brother a gift. And I really curious, like for the viewers right now on the MSD podcast, what kind of gifts did you guys gain from 316? Even though we might not get like an answer directly from the Trinity or God, God shows and gives us answers through our daily life, right? If you want to raise within your life and you're praying to God, and you don't always have to get the response from God saying you will get the raise, and you'll be like shocked, oh my God, I'm going to get a raise. But you will know that God has blessed you when you get the raise, right? So it's very important to understand how God shows what he wants and how he responds to us, right? So the thing I really want to talk about today, and this is going to be a shorter podcast, is something that I want everyone to pray about, right? And it's something that I really felt that I needed within my life, right? And this is something that I think everyone, because everyone is at least connected to something in their life that they really want to improve. Either it's your job, your even if you're a YouTuber, your connections, the amount of people you can influence. Everyone really wants to improve their life, right? And one of the best ways to improve their life or improve your life is to meet the right people at the right time, right? If you're a YouTuber and if you are having struggles, you're struggling making or editing your YouTube videos, you really want to pray to God to send a really good editor, right? So one of the best ways to improve in our life is to find the right people for the job, right? And one of the things that I really want in my life is a mentor, right? We have our spiritual mentor. That's that's Sanzim, the Trinity. They're all my spiritual mentors. But I really want a mentor for like my job, what I really want to improve in, right? And what I really want to do in the future, of course, is entrepreneurship, right? So I really want to know and get to really know a person that's really good in entrepreneurship and business. I want to get that kind of mentorship, right? So one of the biggest things that I've been praying for the last couple of days was to find that kind of mentor, right? Find the right person within your life, right? If you find the right people, then if God sends you the right people, then you'll find amazing increases and amazing you'll strive to have a better life, right? It'll be much more easy to have that kind of guidance within that field that you really want to improve in, right? So one of the biggest so that's why today I'm talking to you about one of the biggest missions that I really want to recommend everyone to do right now is to ask the Trinity and ask God to send the right people within your life so you can really improve in all aspects of your life, both your physical, mental, and spiritual life, right? So that's all I have for you guys today. Hope everyone has an amazing week with the Trinity. And to everyone who is going until the end with the Trinity, let's walk this path together. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.
And thank you so much, Daniel, for a wonderful segment of Until the End. I hope you guys really, really enjoyed that. Make sure to leave a comment, some encouragement, some praise for all the hard work that he's doing. I hope everyone is going to have an amazing and awesome week. So many things to do, so many things to think about. And if you have any questions or anything else, make sure you send them my way. Have a blessed week and get some rest and relaxation and receive the words in the fire once again. And then we'll see you guys again on Monday on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone,